The world stands a little closer to a geopolitical flashpoint. A U.S. aircraft carrier strike group anchored by the USS Abraham Lincoln has entered the Middle Eastern theater as tensions with Iran surge. Tehran is warning that any attack would be deemed a full-scale war. In the shadow of a violent internal protest and aggressive rhetoric, the brinkmanship between the two powers could reshape regional security and reverberate across global markets. We have the latest news coming from you January 26th to today, the January 27th. The USS Abraham Lincoln has been deployed and accompanying guided missiles destroyers in the Middle East, a move officials describe as a blustering defense, deterrence, and a rapid response capability near Iran. Now, this group sailed into the region, the U.S. under Central Command Authority, a strategic message after months of escalating tensions. We're getting reports that this deployment comes amid a backdrop of the intense international focus on Iran's following its domestic crackdown on protesters and warning from Tehran that military escalation could trigger war. Now, the U.S. presence in the region serves multiple purposes: signal deterrence to Tehran's and allied proxy groups in Iraq, Yemen, and Lebanon. There is also that back-end diplomatic pressure while maintaining readiness for action if ordered, reassuring regional lines anxious about Iran's missiles capability and influence. Now, the Trump administration has accompanied this military posture with public statement with Washington remains open for business, meaning diplomatic channels are technically still available if Iran chooses engagement. Iran has responded with a stern rhetoric. Its leadership has warned that any attack on Iranian soil or interest would be treated as an act of a full-scale war. Iran's position is rooted in the strategic defense doctrine and its regional alliance. Tehran frames U.S. deployment as an escalation rather than a stabilization. Now, any proxy group aligned with Iran, such as factions in Iraq and Yemen, have echoed Tehran's stance, threatening retaliation should hostilities begin. These threats are suggesting any localized conflict could widen, and we might be having some regional and global impacts. The tensions has layered effects. Now, energy markets shudder as the prospect of disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical choke point for global oil supplies, and the regional allies like UAE publicly stated that they don't allow their territories to be used for actions against Iran, underlining the delicate diplomatic balance. Now, the U.S. presence at Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE remains crucial for border surveillance and response operations. What we could be seeing next, as analysts have said, is number one, diplomatic de-escalation with back channel talk emerging. Two would be a prolonged military standoff, a frozen conflict with elevated readiness. And three, localized clashes through proxies that could draw in direct engagement even without open conflict. Sustained tensions inject uncertainty in global security dynamics. As the Lincoln strikes complex sit and Tehran's leadership mourn a dire consequence, the world is watching, we're waiting, we're seeing not just for a war, but for what a fragile steps of diplomacy, deterrence, and strategic posturing could be. I'm Minister Qalbi. We'll keep monitoring these developing stories. Until next time, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Assalamu alaikum.